Welcome to Echoes of Reality, the place where true lessons emerge from stories that challenge our understanding of courage, respect, and dignity. Today's story is about a classroom incident that escalated into a powerful lesson on humility, justice, and the importance of standing up for what is right. It is the story of a young black girl named Maya, who faced humiliation at the hands of a teacher, not knowing that her mother was a powerful and influential figure whose presence would change everything. The morning sun shone brightly through the large windows of Jefferson High School. Students were settling into their classrooms, chatting and laughing, while teachers prepared for the day's lessons. Among the students was Maya, a 16-year-old girl with a sharp mind, gentle nature, and an air of quiet confidence. She was polite, diligent, and always tried to do her best in school. Maya's mother, Angela Hartman, was a renowned attorney and civil rights activist. She had spent years fighting for justice, advocating for equality, and ensuring that the voices of the marginalized were heard. But Maya lived a life separate from her mother's fame. She preferred to be treated like any other student, blending in with her peers and focusing on her education. The classroom atmosphere was typical: students chatting softly, papers shuffling, and the teacher, Mr. Bradford, preparing the day's lesson. Mr. Bradford was known for his strictness, but also for a subtle arrogance that often veiled deeper prejudices. He prided himself on maintaining order, but his perception of control often crossed the line into humiliation for students he disapproved of. Maya sat quietly, waiting for the lesson to begin. She had just completed a project on historical civil rights movements and felt proud of the work she had done. As she placed her notebook on the desk, she noticed Mr. Bradford's eyes narrowing. Something about her presence seemed to irritate him that morning. Without warning, he called her out. "Maya Hartman," he barked, his voice echoing through the classroom. "Come here. Your work. It's completely unacceptable." The students exchanged uneasy glances. Maya walked to the front of the class, confused and anxious. "Sir, I tried my best," she said softly. But Mr. Bradford wasn't interested in explanations. "This assignment is sloppy. It's clear you didn't put in the effort. I expected better, but clearly you are not capable of meeting my standards." The words stung. Students murmured among themselves, and some looked away, uncomfortable with the public embarrassment unfolding before them. Maya's cheeks flushed red. She had worked tirelessly on that project, staying up late to research, write, and polish every section. To hear it dismissed in front of her peers felt like a punch to her dignity. "Maybe if your mother had taught you discipline, you'd know what effort really looks like," Mr. Bradford added, smirking. A hush fell over the room. The insult was personal, cutting deeper than the critique of her work. Maya's hands trembled as she clutched her notebook. She had never been humiliated like this, not in school, not among friends, not even in competitions where stakes were high. The classroom atmosphere grew tense. Students shifted in their seats, some wanting to intervene, others paralyzed by fear of speaking up. Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked rapidly, refusing to let them fall. She had always been taught to maintain her composure, no matter how unfair the situation. "Sir, that's not fair," Maya whispered. "I worked hard on this project, and I don't deserve this humiliation." Mr. Bradford leaned in closer, his smirk widening. "Fair? Life isn't fair, Maya. Maybe this is a lesson you need to learn. Humility." The words reverberated through the classroom. Maya felt the weight of every eye on her, some pitying, some curious, some complicit in the silence. She had endured insults before, but this was personal. Just as her resolve began to waver, the door to the classroom opened abruptly. A figure entered, tall, composed, radiating authority and confidence. The students froze, their whispers cutting off instantly. It was Angela Hartman, Maya's mother. But today, she was not just a parent. She was a force of nature, someone whose presence commanded attention and respect without uttering a word. Mr. Bradford turned, startled. Ms. Hartman, he stammered, his arrogance faltering for the first time that day. Angela walked to the front of the classroom, her gaze sweeping over the students and finally resting on Maya. She knelt slightly, placing a reassuring hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Are you okay, Maya?" she asked, her voice calm but carrying an undertone of strength that silenced the room. Maya nodded, tears threatening to fall, but the sight of her mother standing there unshaken gave her courage. Angela turned to Mr. Bradford, her eyes locking with his. "What exactly is happening here?" The teacher straightened, trying to regain his composure. "Ms. Hartman, I was just instructing your daughter to understand the standards expected in this classroom." Angela's voice grew sharper, unwavering. Instructing or humiliating? Making personal comments about her effort, her mother, and her character in front of her peers? The students watched, captivated. The room was charged with tension, a mix of fear, respect, and anticipation. Mr. Bradford's smirk began to fade, replaced with unease. He had underestimated Angela Hartman, not realizing the full weight of her presence and influence. "You see," Angela continued, addressing both the teacher and the classroom, "teaching is not about asserting dominance. It is about guiding, supporting, and lifting your students. What you did here today was neither teaching nor guiding. It was cruel and degrading." Mr. Bradford attempted to speak, to offer an excuse, but Angela held up a hand, stopping him. "No words of justification can undo the harm caused by your actions. Today, you humiliated a student, and in doing so, you lost the respect of every person in this room." The classroom fell silent. Even the students who had previously been silent began to whisper among themselves, some nodding in agreement, others looking at Mr. Bradford with shock. For the first time, he felt the weight of his wrongdoing, the gravity of the lesson he had just been given. Angela turned back to Maya, kneeling to meet her gaze. "Maya, you did nothing wrong. You worked hard, and your character remains intact. Let this be a lesson, not in humiliation, but in the strength you carry within yourself." Maya blinked back tears, her chest rising with newfound confidence. She realized that dignity isn't given. It's maintained, even in the face of injustice. The teacher slumped slightly, finally muttering an apology. "Miss Hartman, I apologize for my behavior." Angela nodded once, firmly. "Actions speak louder than words. Make sure that no student ever feels this way again in your classroom." The students watched as Angela guided Maya back to her seat. The classroom atmosphere had shifted. Where there was once fear, now there was respect. Where there was silence, there was reflection. The lesson had been learned, not just by the teacher, but by everyone present. Word of the incident spread throughout the school. Staff and students alike began to rethink the importance of dignity, respect, and proper conduct. The story wasn't about punishment. It was about learning, growth, and the consequences of misuse of authority. For Maya, that day marked a turning point. She had faced public humiliation, yet emerged stronger, reinforced by her mother's presence and the knowledge that she had done nothing wrong. She carried herself with renewed confidence, knowing that true courage often shows itself in moments of adversity. The moral of the story is clear. Authority should never be a weapon of humiliation. Respect, empathy, and guidance are the true pillars of teaching. Those who misuse their power will face the consequences, sometimes in ways they never expected. And for those who are humiliated, strength comes not only from enduring, but also from standing tall and having the right support at the right moment. Thank you for watching Echoes of Reality. If this story inspired you, remember to like,